Hey, it's Lenny Liebman of Information Week, and I'm here once again from InteropITX in Las Vegas, right now speaking to John Leach, who is President and CEO of Winquest Cybersecurity. It's great to see you, man.
I'm happy to be here, thank you.
Listen, here's the first thing I wanted to talk about, which is the shortfall in cybersecurity people. We talk so much about sort of technologies and techniques and understanding threats, but when it comes down to it, there's just this tremendous shortfall, not only in the number of people, but people who have the kind of skills and experience we need to keep our organizations safe.
Absolutely. There was a report a number of years ago that estimated the nation was short between 200,000 and 300,000 cybersecurity experts. Now since then, universities and high schools have STEM programs and degree programs for cybersecurity, but at the same time the demand has increased greatly because of the increased knowledge of the threat. So we may have more, but I think the shortage is still the same or maybe even greater than it was before.
Yeah. We could definitely put out bodies there, but it's the sophistication, it's the size of our infrastructure, it's the number of technologies we're trying to defend are all putting pressure on our headcount. So is that part of sort of the Winquest cybersecurity value proposition, is that you provide me with sort of on-demand access to trained, skilled professionals?
Absolutely. That's one of the things we're here at Interop for, is rolling out our Winquest Cyberware, which is designed specifically to provide cybersecurity expertise to managed service providers that they may not have on staff, yet it's being demanded by their clients.
And in your literature, I saw in particular a reference to this notion that you're somehow military grade as an organization. Maybe you want to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So the military grade comes from most of our members are veterans or former military. But it's more than that. It's a service ethic, and a service ethic shared by military people, police, fire, teachers, where it really doesn't matter what job you're doing, you just want to provide the best service possible to your clients. And those are the kinds of people we look for, client first.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting in doing some research on you guys that you kind of emphasize this idea of working with law enforcement as kind of the overall cybersecurity package. Again, I know a lot of us focus on the particular technology, but given sort of state actors and criminal actors, it's really important for us to do what the forensics right and get involved with the FBI or whatever correctly. Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Yes, we work with the FBI when necessary. If we get called on an incident response by the client and the FBI is involved, then we have to take extra steps to make sure that we are identifying and tagging evidence correctly, hard drives, things like that. We'll make forensic copies of them. And the FBI like working with us because our personnel have a balance of IT knowledge and cybersecurity knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, it's really one of the most common errors, I think. It's decreasing now that we make, which is something goes wrong, we have some infection, we start wiping everything, and then we lose the whole ability to figure out, to get to the root cause.
Right, if you've wiped your hard drive, then we can't do the forensics necessary, nor can the FBI, to try and trace back what attack happened to you, and possibly you could be wiping a brand new vulnerability that had not been discovered before.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that.
No, we don't. And I think it's also interesting you talked about coming to the show, although I know you serve organizations directly, you're kind of taking this go-to-market approach of working with MSPs. So maybe you want to talk to me a little bit about that strategy from a business point of view.
So when it goes back to the shortage of cybersecurity personnel we talked about in the beginning of the segment, managed service providers have the same challenge. Their main focus is, of course, on information technology support. They'll have cybersecurity people on staff when they can find them and when they can train them, but there's more client demand than most MSPs can satisfy. So we want to partner with them. We want to provide them with the expertise so that they can give better service to their clients, and quite frankly, it's an additional revenue stream for them.
Yeah, I think that revenue stream is important because I think a lot of MSPs, as part of their growth, especially if they tend to sell regionally, they tend to sort of saturate or get in competition with some other MSPs locally, and so they really need to sort of expand their footprint of value props besides just, we're going to run your servers and your backups for you.
Well, absolutely, and the fact that we can come in and support MSPs nationwide without exacerbating that problem you just said means that there should be a lot of opportunity out there for us, and we're going to see how it goes. But again, it's why we're here at Interop to roll that new Winquest Cyberware service out for MSPs.
And it's a white label service?
That's correct. So We want to white label to the MSPs so that we're not impacting on their brand in any way, and we don't want to interfere with that traditional client-provider relationship.
Yeah. There's also some specific productized offerings that I saw. One of them's called, I think, CAVA, and the other one's called Centra. You want to talk about those two?
Oh, I'd love to. The CAVA stands for Cybersecurity Abbreviated Vulnerability Assessment.
Okay.
To my knowledge, we're the only company that's offering this kind of service. The CAVA is a single-day vulnerability assessment, and it goes something like this. We'll send a team of 2 experts out. They're going to do a minimum of 4 hours of scanning. They'll do about an hour or 2 of analysis. And at the end of the day, the client gets an executive-level out brief that tells them what the most dangerous 5 to 7 vulnerabilities are. And then after that, we follow up and give them the entire data set.
Yeah.
And what that does, that gives them a start point. It's also very affordable, so any business can afford to have us do a CAVA for them. The difficulty with that is that travel expenses make it. Sometimes the travel expenses are more than the actual CAVA service itself. So we created the Centra. Okay. The Centra is our remote monitoring capability that allows us to send the box from coast to coast and do an assessment remotely.
So and I think that's also important not only for sort of an IT manager or whoever's the sort of assigned cybersecurity within these organizations. I think an executive report is also important because one of our problems is sort of underfunding and not getting enough visibility at the executive level, where there's certainly consciousness of what breaches are because, whether it's Target or, Experian or whatever, it makes news. But for smaller businesses, sometimes I think a lot of leaders, presidents or CEOs of those companies don't understand really the specifics of why they really need to take some steps and give the, SVP of IT or whoever it is some money to go after this. Does that make sense? It's also a political instrument for IT to use to talk to the business.
Right, and we help with that struggle as well, because it doesn't matter if it's a CAVA, or if it's a full assessment report or a penetration test report. Any report that we do that talks about vulnerabilities are going to tell you what the vulnerabilities are, specifically why they're dangerous, and then give you solutions on how to fix them. And it's that telling you why they're dangerous in a very practical manner that the executive will understand. That's the key.
Yeah, it's really important. I think that we're at that point where we need to sort of communicate much better between technology, security, cyber people, and the business, because it's still woefully underfunded at most organizations.
But it's seen as like insurance. Right. You don't see the return on investment. Necessarily. Yeah. Anything else you want to share when we wrap up? Anything we should do if we're particularly interested? The Centra sounds very interesting to me because this idea that you could send me a box and it's going to do the assessment. Maybe you want to just talk about a little call to action. Well, so just real quick, the Centra, it just allows us to have remote access into your network. It's still our experts doing the assessment, and we don't get to do the physical security. We don't get to do the insider threat when we do the Centra. But it's better than you're not doing anything at all because of travel costs.
Sure.
I guess as a wrap it would be companies can do the most simple things. Educate your employees, educate your workforce about if you don't know where that email came from, you're not 100% sure, do not click on the kittens playing with yarn ball picture because that's most phishing attacks organization-wide are successful. We have a client that did one for their IT department, who should know better, and 10% of the IT people clicked on the test email as well. So that's probably the number one thing can do from an employee perspective. Very quickly, prepare for ransomware. You need to back up your data. So when you get hit with ransomware, you can say, no thank you, and you can reload your data and keep on going. Otherwise, you're in big trouble.
And you're especially putting out, again, a call to MSPs who are looking to expand their security offerings. Go ahead and give you a call and you can help with some white label stuff.
Absolutely. So we're on the web, and come find us at winquestcyber.com.
Great. Good talk to you, man.
Thank you very much.
Again, that's Lenny Liebman of Information Week here at InteropITX in Las Vegas. Please stay tuned. We've got some more talk for you coming up that you may find useful, so we'll be right back.